What's happening, Wisdom Warriors? Back at it for another video. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? So this morning and the last day or two, I've had a lot of conversations this week, and I've realized that I think it's, you know, I think and I believe and I feel that us as a collective are going through feeling like we're stuck and we're in chains or shackles. And it's interesting because I was watching something and somebody mentioned, there's actually multiple people, like they don't know what they're doing, where they're going, but they want to serve and this and that, and uh, and they feel like, just in shackles or chained, or like they just feel stuck, and trapped, and I feel like that's kind of like a common theme right now that the whole collective is going through. And what's interesting is because when I did the Akashic Records practice session last week with someone, that was one of the things that she um, mentioned, that they said that I was breaking free of the chains. And I'm like I guess this version that I'm stepping into is free, is like I'm gonna experience I'm experiencing freedom, which is something that I not only have I been asking for and wanting and like kind of setting my life up for, but I feel like the entire collective is going through healing, ancestral, generational, around that specific thing. And drop it in the comments, man, if you feel the same, or you felt the same, or you feel like it's lifting, or I feel like it's lifting. I feel like leading towards this solar eclipse, I feel a shift, and I'm getting a little bit of chills because I do really feel a shift happening with humanity in the collective. And a lot of what came up for me today, and thank you. I shouted out Johan's Odyssey, his YouTube channel. Check it out if you get a chance. It's amazing. I love his content, um, and you'll enjoy it too. Trust me. If you resonate with this, you'll resonate with his content. Yeah, just check it out. Look him up on YouTube. Um, and we have some things in the works that we're in talks about, so stay tuned for that. Um, but I feel like that's been kind of a common thing. Not only what the topic that I'm going to discuss today is about is very similar, but different in the same way. I'm kind of going to go in a little few directions, but I'm going to, I'm basically, I want to ask you guys, are you resisting change? Because that's what the topic's going to be today in the title of the video. And I feel like, well, for one, I know I have a lot of different areas of my life. A lot of different times I thought that I am in control. I will take control. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this the way that I think needs to go. And then when it doesn't go exactly, it's starting to go not in the exact way that I wanted to go, I start to resist. I start to control. I start to, uh, you know, um, versus why not going with the flow, like I talked about with being in a lazy river and being on the inner tube and just allowing the river to take you up the stream, or through the river, and we tend to try to control and force, and we resist and we kick and scream, and we throw tantrums, and we, because it's not turning out the way we thought it needs to turn out, yet we were wishing, hoping, and praying for that to happen. But then when it starts to happen, we don't like the way that it's looking, when actually it's happening in a better way than we could have imagined, and it's happening in a way that the way that we need it, you know, because trust me when I tell you, our higher self knows what's best for us, knows what we need in this moment, knows what's too much and not too much. And I was talking about this, you know, about, I gave a really good analogy when I was talking to somebody about this, about how it's almost like, you know, a romantic partner or somebody that is a creator, you know, on, hold on one second, let me just put this on. Okay. It's almost like, you know, a creator on YouTube too. And let's say, I don't know, you know, they have like 10 subscribers, and, you know, they want it so bad to have a huge audience. And this is me, you know, I'm essentially describing me because I have more than 10, but the fact of the matter is it's been a slow go, and, you know, that's okay, because I know that everything is happening exactly the way it's supposed to. Because see, if 5 years ago when I was on Periscope, I was probably more than that. No, you know what? It probably, well, it was around 2015, probably, maybe, give or take. And I don't know if you've heard of Periscope, but it's owned by Twitter, and it's basically similar to YouTube, but you basically can, not similar, but you can go live and people just randomly find you, and they come into your live, and that's really what it is. I think you can do recorded videos too. I'm not really, maybe not, maybe it's just live. In any case, I remember back then when I started with that, and I was so upset that I only had one or two stragglers coming in, maybe 3 or 4 at a time, maybe the most 10 at once. And I wanted a bigger audience. And it was frustrating, and it was, you know, something that I kind of resisted or fought against or threw tantrums, so to speak. Not really, but, you know, just that's the best way I can describe it to you. And so then 2020 came, and I went on Instagram, and I was doing lives on there, and I was building a platform and building, you know, doing self-help, and it was a self-empowering kind of page that I was, you know, reading like the Four Agreements, and I was doing book clubs, and I was, you know, doing collaborations with people, and I was growing an audience, you know. But before I deleted it, I probably had well over 1,000 in, I don't know, probably a few months. And I deleted the account because I wanted to get off social media altogether. I needed to at the time. I needed to pretty much, I would say, I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I was doing it like a dopamine fast in all aspects, and NoFap and PMO. And, you know, but I didn't realize why I was doing it, or at the time, you know, in 2020, I needed it. I needed to get off all of that stuff, and pretty much it, same thing went with foods. I stopped eating spices and sweet and sugars and carbs, and you know, seasoning my foods, and, you know, I was pretty much eating raw salads with olive oil and a little bit of garlic salt, you know, and I was okay with it. And I was eating very bland and very minimal spice stuff on them, and you know, just in all aspects of my life, completely off social media. And I wasn't even really watching TV. I was reading books. I was going out. I was sitting out in nature. And this was pretty much over 2 years from 2020. And there's a lot of things I still don't even, that I still haven't brought back into my life, that I just have no desire to, especially porn as being one of them. I realized what it did to me. Now, granted, if you get to a point in your life, which I do feel like you can get to a point where these things like sugar and, you know, um, you know, no fap and all these different things, you can do these things in a healthy way, in a balanced way when you're balanced internally. I feel like from my experience and from my reflection and from just introspection and zooming out and the awareness and the things that I've done and tried from and been on both sides of the fence, I'm realizing in this new version of myself that um, some of these things that I have invited into my life, not social media and not some other things, but that I don't like. I don't crave them, or I don't. I don't. It's not like in the forefront of my head. Like, I mean, mind you, I haven't had sugar in over 2 years. The fact of the matter is, I've had like, fruits, or like an apple with some almond butter, and maybe I'll have that, right? But or I'll have a couple pieces and then I put it away, and I'm not craving it, like I used to, and I'm not. It's not like this addictive pattern. It changed. It's almost like going for that long period of time rewired my brain. And I also notice it with the smartphone. I don't go without even thinking. What would happen to me before is my hand and arm would just like know exactly where the phone is sitting and just like go over to it, and I didn't even think about it. It was like not even a it wasn't even like a there wasn't a thought like that popped in and then said, oh yeah, I want to pick up my smartphone. It was like my hand had a mind of its own and just went as a habit to grab the phone. And I started to like have that awareness and notice I was doing that. And that's a part of the addictive patterns that get created when we're out of balance. And that's why we need these things like nature and different grounding mechanisms, maybe crystals or whatever you can use, like breath work or meditation or yoga or these things to bring us back into balance. And then when we're in balance, like I've spoke about on multiple videos about overdoing, we don't overdo, and we won't excessively want sex, or we won't excessively want those sugary foods, or excessively want gaming, because we're in balance. And maybe we'll do it once and maybe that's it. It's almost like I've gotten to a point where I pick up my phone and there's nothing really happening, and I just like go on it for a few seconds, and I'm like scrolling like through the apps, and then I just end up kind of just like like that kind of feeling like and then I just put it down and just throw it over there, like, and I'm just like I don't need it. I don't say that, but I get that. It's like that feeling, like eh, that was enough. Like a few seconds, and boom, just put it down. And it's kind of the same way. It's almost like you being at a job that you hate, and I get on the computer, and I sit in front of the computer, and it gets to a point where I'm like on there for a little bit, and I kind of get, um, it just gets old really fast, and you just don't feel like in alignment with it. It just like, God, man, you know what? I got to go out in nature. I got to go take a walk. I got to go breathe some fresh air or whatever. You just end up getting up, and it's kind of like, I think that that's starting to happen with a lot of us. And I feel like once we do these detoxes like Johan did, the dopamine fast for 7 days, or, like I did for over 2 years, I cut out pretty much everything for like almost, like I said, 2020 till like, and I started bringing little by little things back in, but it's gotten to the point where it's like you're over it. It's just like, yeah, like you don't overdo it. You don't end up overdoing it anymore. And so I don't know where I'm going with this, because I said I was going to talk about resistance and control and surrendering and letting go. We end up here, but that's okay because it kind of all comes full circle and it all kind of goes together, really, to be honest. Um, I find and have found through my journey and my path that if we surrender, we let go, we allow to go with the flow of life, the beauty, the magic, the abundance, and all the synchronicities come in, and they it's like you're going down this path, right? And it's maybe like a windy path, but as you're going down that path, right, maybe every few feet a door is opened and something comes in. You know what I mean? But like when you're resisting, and you can feel it in your body, man, it doesn't feel good. Like or holding on, like I talked about in the dream yesterday, about these people like holding on, gripping tight to the handles of the basket. It's like that control just does not feel good in the body whatsoever. And the resistance and the forcing and the trying to make this happen or make that happen the way that you want it to happen, when that's not how it works. That's not what we signed up for. We came here to play in the unknown. It wouldn't be fun if we knew everything in every corner and every turn that this was going to happen and I'm secure. Yeah, it feels good, it feels comfortable, but in actuality, you end up having all this regret and um, judgment towards yourself because you're not really here doing what you were meant to do. And you know deep down that that is not what you were meant to do. And I'm not telling you to leave your job. I'm not telling you to not do what you're doing. I'm not telling you any of that. Again, I always speak from my journey, my experiences. And I can tell you right now, the experiences that I experienced when I was probably 97, I was working at a job, 2001, 99, I think 2001 was probably the last that I actually worked for somebody. Well, no, because I worked for like small companies that were a little late, longer. It was probably a little bit further in 2000, but it's been quite a while that I've been kind of an entrepreneur, so to speak. And I can tell you right now that I knew right then that I was different, and I knew that I had difficulty taking instruction or being told what to do by someone. That did not resonate with me. That I'm a leader, a born leader. I'm not bragging in any way or telling you that a 9 to 5 is not something you should do. Whatever you resonate with, whatever feels in alignment with you, is what you should be doing. And we know deep down. You know, we get the messages all the time, and we know not to eat that food that we just ate. We know not to drink that soda or smoke or whatever the case may be. We know not to stay at the gym as long as we end up staying, or, we know these things, and yet we ignore it and we resist it and we try to control because, well, control creates like a controlled safety, feeling of safety, when in actuality it's not. At any moment you can have the floor pulled right from underneath you, and I've had it many, many times happen, and it's not enjoyable and fun. And if you're listening to these videos and you're on this channel and you're subscribed, you know damn well what I'm talking about, because you're on that spiritual path. And the fact of the matter is, your intuition and God and source and divine is always talking to you, guiding you on this spiritual path. And if you resonate with any of these videos, then you're on a spiritual path. And you're aligning with God, with source, with divine. There's nothing more powerful than that. You're protected and you're being guided. When you get off that path and you try to control and you resist and you fight and you throw tantrums and you're like, no, I want it this way. Well, you know what? Majority of the time it creates chaos, not only internally, but externally. I've found that to be the case. And that's what I found at these jobs. I got fired. I went to the next one. The longest one was probably a year. You know, I mean, I did anything from retail at a mall to restaurants to working at a nursing home serving food to um, to telemarketing to I even did a work from home job that you would answer calls that people were calling for psychic readings, and they gave me like a script, and I'm reading these like people's like oh man, just thinking about it now and looking back, man, I'm like reading these like their psychic predictions off paper in a folder that I have that's typical for like almost every call, and you're just reading it like they give you like a packet and you're just reading from it to these people. It's so sad, and they were paying like I don't know how much, like a couple dollars a minute or something like that, or maybe more. I don't know. I don't remember. The fact of the matter is, it's like, was I in alignment with that? Hell no. Was I in alignment at the nursing home? No. And I had so many experiences that were showing me, or showing myself, my higher self was showing me that it wasn't for me. Like, for example, I remember carrying a tray out to one of the tables, and it was like I said, it was a nursing home, and I worked in the restaurant inside the nursing home in Florida. And there's no shortage of nursing homes in Florida, trust me, if you haven't been there. Anyways, so I got the tray. I'm holding the tray, and I'm walking into the dining room, and it had all these drinks on it. And mind you, it had like they were probably like the cups were like this tall, and they were anywhere from apricot juice, which is orange, to prune juice, to I don't even remember what else. And all of a sudden, I'm walking out there with this big ass circular tray, and it was huge, filled with all these drinks. And I get ready, get to the end of the dining room, and boom, all of a sudden, the tray flipped over and flew in the air, and all the drinks flew on the people sitting there. And this one woman had like white clothing and a white purse, and the drinks fell all over her white clothes. I mean, I was yeah, I mean, and then not only did that happen, but then I remember another time when I was inside the kitchen and I was carrying the tray, and the tray fell over, went and smashed all over the wall, and the drinks were like dripping down the wall. And that was just some of the things that happened. But these were all signs, man, that I was being shown that it wasn't the right job for me. And it wasn't where I needed to be giving my energy away. Or, because you realize that, where are you putting your energy? Where are you giving your energy to? Because our energy is the most valuable thing we have. It's more valuable than money. And money is energy too. So is this camera and this desk and everything in this room, this love pillow behind me is energy, And so, like, you have to ask yourself, like, where are you giving your energy? Where are you putting it? Who are you giving it to? Who are you not giving it to? Do you want to give that much energy? It's something that you really have to evaluate, and evaluate where you have leaks in your energy. Like, I started to realize again today, I literally got this like nudge. I would call it a nudge, because I went in the garage and I was preparing to go to an appointment that I had, and I had a bunch of stuff that I had in one area that was going to be donated, but I was stalling for like the last few weeks for whatever reason. And maybe I was still attached, maybe not, but I didn't even go through the stuff today. So I don't really think, but maybe energetically I was attached, because I've had this stuff for over 10 years. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what, let me take it out of the container. Let me put it in these boxes. Let me check the time, make sure I have enough time before I have to get to the appointment. And I started loading the car. I filled up the whole trunk, and I filled up the back seat, and that was it. I said, you know what, I'm donating it all. Goodbye. See ya. And you know what? After I was done with my appointment, and after I went to one other place that I had to get some things, the grocery store, I then went to them directly before I went to the water to just meditate and just take in the water. And I'll tell you what, I felt lighter. I feel lighter now. There's so much more room. It feels clearer when you look in that room, in the garage where all that stuff was. Now, mind you, I still have a lot more to donate and go through, but I'm working on it. And the last month or two, it's been slowly, I was so overwhelmed. I was delaying it. I was resisting. I was trying to control. And there was like 3 or 4 stacks of these containers, probably like 26 of them or more. And you get these at the home improvement store, they're yellow and black, they're pretty big, and they were stacked to the ceiling. And I brought those from Florida, probably have had them filled and all this stuff for I don't know how many years and did absolutely nothing with it. And it definitely is not serving my highest good. And I realize that from this point forward that I'm going to have and buy stuff and keep stuff that is serving my highest good, not just buying it to buy it and taking up space, because it's taking up space in your mind and your external world, which then clutters your internal world. And what do you really need all this stuff for? To show other people that you have stuff, like, I don't know. I've gotten to a point where, it's meaningless to me. If it doesn't serve my highest good, then what's the point, right? And that goes for everything. That goes for people. That goes for things. That goes for all of it. I've realized that I want nothing more than individuals that are giving me the same, are meeting me where I meet myself. And not only that, but are giving me unconditional love versus conditional. I've had conditional my entire life, and I don't want it, and I don't like it, and I'm not okay with that being, in my, world, so to speak. So yeah, this solar eclipse that we are upon us, that is the 19th and 20th. Here it's the 20th right now. And I know that I'm pretty sure it was like between the 19th and the 20th, and I'm pretty sure it lasts till like the 4th. And then there's another big one coming, I think, at the end of 2024. A much bigger one, like the one we had in 2017, which knocked me on my ass. And I definitely hit rock bottom at that time. And I'm the things that I get from it, it's a shake-up from the universe to shake us into change. Because, the thing is, like I said, going back to resistance and control, we try to control everything. We try to control our situations. We try to control the things around us, the people, the places, the things. And we resist the change. And it's interesting because to watch myself and to watch other individuals that, like, literally we have to be shook to the point where we are at our last, like, straw. Like, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's like we have to be shook up so much to the point where, like, literally shook into change through pain and suffering. And even then, a lot of us don't change. Like, I didn't in the past. I resisted it. I kicked and screamed, and I've learned now through going through immense pain and suffering and challenges throughout my life, through resistance and fighting and not wanting the change, even though I asked for it, that it is so much easier to go with the flow and allow the universe to not force us into that change, but to do it on our own. Because I'm telling you right now, man, you don't want to go down that road, man. I'm warning you, man. I'm telling you, if you're watching this, please take this advice. Please just listen deeply to what you're hearing. And you know these things. You know if that job ain't working out for you. You know if you need to move on to something else. You know if that relationship ain't working. But you don't want to do it because you want to be accepted. You want to, that job feels secure. That job feels like solid. But in actuality, it's really not. Because it only takes that moment where your soul is screaming out and crying out for change, and you keep trying to resist it and fight it and control the outcomes, that the universe has to step in and these shakeups come. And there's been quite a bit of them, and I know that I've been caught in the crossfire, I guess you could say. It took the 2x4 across the head for me to learn, but it took multiple 2x4s. It was like okay, like, oh, my ribs popped out. Okay, I'm gonna go to the chiropractor. He's gonna pop them back in, and they popped out again, and finally they set. And then that kept happening, and then I kept getting sick and colds, and and then more things happen, and then more things happen until finally they said, you know what, this dude is just not listening, man. And then I really had to get the 2x4 across the head. And then I had to get it again in 2020, and now, oh, you better believe I learned my lesson. And like I said, I could talk all day to you, and you know who you are. I could talk all day to anyone listening to this video, and until you're ready to change, you're not going to change. And until the universe forces you to change, and I'm telling you, it's so much easier and better to take this advice and listen to what you're being told, and just because we all know, we just don't want to listen. We ignore. We don't want to change because if we change, then we're gonna rock the boat with family or friends or these people or that people or the friends that I had for 20 years, or they're not gonna want to be around me anymore because I'm changing to who I actually am. You know what I mean? And it's like, why, man? Don't you want people to be in your life that accept all of you, and that love every part of you and want to see you be you authentically and truthfully be you? Because trust me, there is people out there that want that. You're just resisting it. You're just wanting to stay the same and wanting things to not change. But like I spoke about the weather is constantly changing, and if you're in an area that has extreme changes, like from summer to winter, and of course you have spring and fall in between, but it's extreme in a way that it's far on either side of the spectrum, with summer and winter, like really hot and really cold, like freezing cold, and so I mean, that's natural, right? It happens normally. You don't have to make it happen. So if you go with the flow, like the weather goes with the flow, and how a tree stands out there in every condition, and it's still there, and it's still alive, and it's still kicking and screaming, and the leaves still grow, and they fall off, and the tree still stands there through the depth the dark depth colds of winter and the brutally hot summers, and it's still standing, it's still out there, and never moves, never dies. It's been there for centuries, and just think about what a tree has to go through, and yet they're still standing, and they're taking it like a champ, and change is happening every moment, every day. The sun comes out, the sun goes down, the cold comes in, the hot comes in, like, you know what I'm saying, so why? I don't know, man. It's interesting because we've been conditioned not to like change, but yet change doesn't staying the same doesn't feel good either. It can be very painful, and you can get very stuck, and stagnant, and but yet we stay in the situations because we don't like change. We want everything to stay exactly the way it is. Like, I get this paycheck every week. I live in the same house for 40 years, 50 years. I feel like those days are gone. Like those generations that did that, where they live in the same place for like their whole life, or I feel like that those dynamics are falling off. I feel like the generations right before me and my generation is changing that narrative. And I feel like the days of that, like, unless you are expanding, unless you are going up in frequency and consciousness and just expanding and evolving, then what's the point? What did you come here for? You know what I mean? What did you incarnate for? Because it's all about expansion, and it's all about growth, and consciousness, your consciousness expanding, and your soul expanding, and experiencing the unknown. Like I was talking to a brother of mine who we have some things that we're working on together. Um, like he said to me, what fun would it be if you knew every single thing? Like, oh, I knew that in 5 years I'm going to get into this relationship with this person, and then we're going to be together for this amount of time, and then we're going to live in this area, and then we're going to go to this area, and then we're going to work this job, and then if you knew all that, like, it would be so, like, mundane and boring and monotonous versus, like, being breadcrumbed along the way and just kind of going with the flow, man. Like I said, being an entrepreneur, you have to really kind of settle in with the unknown, because you never know what you're going to get week to week, month to month. It's always different. It's way different than knowing, okay, I get this amount, $300 a week, and I get it every week, and then my rent is this much, and my food is this much. And when you're an entrepreneur, you really don't even know from week to week what you're going to spend, how much you're going to get, I mean, it's just so unknown, and I don't feel like there's any stability in that. And that kind of taught me, watching my father doing that, and then me doing that it kind of taught me more to accept the unknown more so than, and I kind of, for a lot of my life, I have just lived by the seat of my pants in a lot of ways, and just feeling like, yeah, there was a lot of kickback, from people around me that I hung out with and spent time with, that they believe differently than I have and do. And I believe that when you walk that path, that spiritual path, everything is provided for you. You're guided, you're protected. When you're off course, it can still be, but I feel like there's chaos involved in that. I feel like all the synchronicities begin to happen, all the doors begin to open. But the thing is, even though you walk it, I don't feel like that it's that easy in the external world that we live in to stay on course exactly, perfectly all the time. That you get kind of steered off a little bit by people, by the external, getting sucked into this that you may like, and then it pulls you off that course, and then you got to get just kind of nudged back on, like, hey, yo, like, here's a little reminder that you got to get back on that course, So, yeah, I mean, my advice in this video is embrace the unknown, embrace the change, and stop resisting shit. Because, man, is it painful, dude. Imagine, if you haven't already done this before, imagine yourself trying to paddle with your hands in the water upstream, and see, or even against the current in the ocean. It is not easy, man. Because when I was living in Florida, I remember trying to, like, swim back against the current. It is super hard and painful, and a lot of suffering involved. So, it's definitely a sign when you feel that friction or that resistance, that, hey, wait a minute, man, maybe I need to, like, reevaluate what I'm doing. I'm resisting, like I got this morning, between yesterday and today, that, man, I gotta let go, I gotta surrender, I gotta throw up my hands, and just, with these situations that I'm involved in. I have to just allow the universe to let it unfold the way it's going to unfold and stop trying to force it, control it, resist whatever change that's happening in it, and know that it's all going to end up working out for my highest and greatest good. I think that's a perfect place to end this video. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that something resonated with you in this video. And, there'll be more to come like this and much more things coming as we move forward. Stay blessed. Just take care of yourself, man. If you feel called to detox or fast or any of that, which a lot of us are during this solar eclipse, then do it. Do what you feel resonates with you. Do what you feel called to do in every area of your life. And if you have to, pull out a journal and start journaling what you want to see your life to be. And that's a great start. See what you like, start writing down in detail what you want to feel like, how you want to feel in your life, what you want in it, and um, you know and also write down what you're feeling in the one you currently are in, in really heavy detail, and just bust out that pad and paper and just, go to town writing how you feel in your current situation and what you want to experience in your life in general. Again, if you haven't already, please like, please share, please comment, please subscribe. I love all the comments. I love the detailed comments. I really enjoy reading them and hearing your journey, and it just reminds us all that we are not alone, and that we aren't alone. Just that, everybody's going through similar things, and we have to embrace that and know that, and just realize you're not alone. You're not doing this alone. We're all doing this together. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so thankful for every single one of you that are a part of this community. I love you guys so much. I thank you so much. Please subscribe, please comment, please share, please like. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And take care of yourself. And make sure you're drinking a lot of water and you're resting through this time. I love you all so much. Till the next time. Let's go with some warriors. We got this.